Hello, friends. Welcome to The Real Side Stories. Sometimes sold rice, sometimes did labor, and sometimes did farming. He ran away from home 4 times and found nothing but deception. Yet despite all this, he built his own car. Initially, its price and quality were too low that people mocked him and forced him to give up. Not once, but multiple times. He climbed up only to fall back to the ground, as if it had become his habit. And this habit made him so strong that eventually, this boy became the founder of the world's 3rd largest car company, Hyundai. Ladies and gentlemen, Chung Ju-yung was born in 1915 in a village called Tongcheon in Korea, which is now in North Korea. At that time, the entire Korea was one country under Japanese rule. Chung was the eldest among his 7 siblings, and due to poverty, the entire family worked in the fields. At just 14 years of age, Chung had to leave school because of poverty and started working with his parents in the fields. He worked all day in the fields but could earn so little that despite working, he often had to sleep hungry. This situation forced him to think, will he spend his entire life like this? He was fed up with his life, and finally he ran away from home and reached Kowon City, 100 kilometers away. There, he started working as a laborer with construction workers. He worked very hard but earned very little. Yet in this situation, he was happy because it was first time when his earned money was spent only on himself, and second, he had gained freedom. But this freedom lasted only 2 months, as his parents, who were searching for him, reached Kowon and brought him back to the village. The happiness Chung experienced for the first time in his life was snatched away, and he was sent back to work in the fields. But in reality, he had tasted the city life, and by any means, he did not want to live in the village. After this, he tried running away 2 more times, but was caught and sent back to the village to work again. One year, there was a very poor harvest, and the entire village faced a food shortage. Things got so bad that they had to stay hungry for days. Chung thought enough is enough, and he planned to run away for the 4th and final time. This time, he escaped to Seoul City, which is today's capital of South Korea. He had made it his life's purpose to leave the village and live in the city, no matter what kind of work he had to do. Upon reaching Seoul, he didn't skip any job. He worked as a construction laborer in a factory, and even did cleaning work. One specific thing about him was that whatever work he did it with hard work and heart. After some time, he got a delivery job at a rice shop, where he started delivering rice to people's homes on a bicycle. His efforts significantly increased the shop's sales, and the shop owner made Chung the manager. This was his first job where he didn't have to do any physical labor work, and soon he greatly boosted the shop's sales. Meanwhile, the shop owner fell sick and could no longer run the shop, so he sold it to Chung at a low price. This boy, who once worked in fields and had run away from home 4 times, became the owner of his own rice shop at the young age of 22. He worked hard at his shop, and soon it became the best rice shop in the area. He was very happy, but during this time, an event occurred that turned his small happiness into sorrow again. On July 7th, 1937, a Japanese soldier went missing near the Marco Polo Bridge. To search for him, the Japanese army sought permission from China, but when China refused, a clash began, which is known in history as the Second Sino-Japanese War. This small incident led to a war that lasted for the next 8 years and caused a severe rice shortage in both Japan and Korea. Since Japan controlled Korea at that time, the Japanese government seized control of rice shops across Korea and Japan to address the shortage. Among these shops was Chung's rice shop, and once again he became unemployed. His 2 years of hard work and savings came to nothing. However, Chung did not give up. He started looking for a new business that the Japanese army couldn't take control of. After exploring many ideas, he finally decided to open a car repair shop. But the problem was that Chung didn't have enough money to start this business. He took a loan of 3,000 won and started a new business named Ado Service Garage. But things didn't go as he had hoped. As they say, trouble doesn't ask before it arrives. A sudden fire broke out in Chung's new garage. The garage, along with all the cars in it, was destroyed in the fire, and all the loss was borne by Chung. This time, Chung found himself in a major problem. Not only did he have to repay the 3,001 loan, but he also had to compensate for the customers' losses. But he didn't lose courage. Once again, he took a loan of 3,501, reopened the garage, and gradually managed to recover all the losses. Now he shifted his focus to growing the business. For the next 2 years, Chung worked tirelessly, and his business flourished. He started hiring people to work in his garage, and soon 70 to 80 people were working for him. His success was such that he brought his entire family from the village to settle in Seoul City. But another challenge awaited him. At that time, World War II was raging, and Japan was involved in the war. To produce military equipment, the Japanese government began taking control of workshops. Eventually, Chung's garage was also taken over by the Japanese government. However, this time, Chung wasn't left empty-handed. He had learned from his previous losses and had saved 50,000 won to start another business. Shortly after, World War II ended, and so did Japanese rule over Korea. The biggest obstacle in Chung's path was now gone. Korea was divided into two parts, North Korea and South Korea. As soon as things normalized, Chung returned to Seoul in 1946 and started a car repair business again, this time with a new identity and under a new name. He named his business Hyundai Auto Service. Hyundai is a Korean word that means modern. At that time, Seoul had become part of South Korea under the influence of the United States. American forces often stayed in South Korea, and Chung noticed that the U.S. military needed buildings for accommodation. He thought starting a construction business could lead to significant growth. In 1947, he established a construction company named Hyundai Civil Works. Initially, the company received small projects like building houses or constructing a few kilometers of roads. For a new business, this was enough, but Chung aimed for bigger projects. However, circumstances once again halted his plans. On June 25, 1950, with the support of the Soviet Union, North Korea attacked South Korea. Seoul, being close to the North Korean border, became dangerous. Chung fled from Seoul to Busan. But even in such dire circumstances, Chung didn't give up. He assessed the situation and devised a plan to benefit from the war conditions. He observed that the U.S. military had arrived to assist South Korea and needed tents, warehouses, and some buildings for accommodation. Chung resumed his construction business and approached American officials, offering to provide any type of construction service if the budget was appropriate. Since the U.S. was a superpower, budget was never an issue for them. American officials began awarding contracts to Chung's company. Chung and his team worked day and night to complete all projects. This brought multiple benefits. The war ended, but Chung had established good working relations with the Americans. Since Chung was close to the Americans, he also built a strong relationship with the South Korean government. Many roads and bridges were destroyed during the war. The South Korean government awarded reconstruction projects to Hyundai. By this time, Chung's company had grown so much that it even took on massive projects like building dams. The Soyang Dam, the largest dam in South Korea, and the Gyeongbu Expressway, the country's largest expressway, were both built by Hyundai. Because Chung had good relations with the South Korean government and the Americans liked him, he could easily import heavy machinery for construction from the U.S. His good relations also meant he was the first to receive contracts. Although his construction company was well established, Chung wanted to return to his old automobile business. This time, he decided to do something bigger than car repair. In 1967, he founded Hyundai Motor Company. Very soon, he partnered with the Ford Company. Ford's Cortina car was popular in the market at that time. Hyundai made a deal to assemble Cortina cars using Ford's technology and sell them as Hyundai's version in South Korea. This deal was highly successful, and Hyundai achieved significant growth. But South Korea's car market was quite small. An estimate suggested that the market was only 30,000 cars, and the chances of growth were very low. Therefore, Hyundai wanted to export this car internationally, but they had a disagreement with Ford. Ford said that our agreement was only for the South Korean market, and Hyundai could not export it, and because of this, their partnership ended. After the deal broke, Chung started looking for a new partner and soon made a deal with Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi was now ready to provide car production technology to Hyundai. After this deal, Hyundai made its first car, which was named Hyundai Pony. This car was very affordable, but it became popular in the market only because of its low price. And in no time, it made Hyundai the largest car company in South Korea. However, as we mentioned earlier, at that time, South Korea's car market was very small, so there wasn't much chance of growth. Hyundai started exporting the Pony internationally. This car became successful in several countries like Canada, where it was greatly liked, but Hyundai wanted to launch this car in the largest car market, the United States. However, due to not meeting the federal emissions standards, the U.S. rejected this car. Chung did not give up and made further improvements to the car, and finally, after meeting the standards, it was launched in the United States. This improved version of the Hyundai Pony was introduced in the U.S. as the Hyundai Excel. The car's price was approximately $5,000, and it was half the price compared to other cars, so it started selling rapidly in the U.S. Now, the company's profit was skyrocketing because its business had expanded from South Korea to the U.S. Due to its low price, people began to make fun of it, saying that if you filled the gas tank of the Hyundai Excel, the price of the car would double. While its price was half, Its quality was not as good as other cars in the US, and people had to get it repaired frequently. Soon, the Hyundai Excel became a big flop in the US. Hyundai, not giving up, started working harder and began introducing new models along with improving their engines and parts. These new models started making a name in the US and other countries. This time, their quality was better and they were affordable, so customers were happy with them. Soon, they began to join the ranks of the largest car companies in the world. Chung Ju-yung, who had started his journey in the rice business, had now become the owner of a successful multinational company. Due to old age, his health was no longer the same, so he retired and handed the company over to his sons. In 2001, Chung passed away, leaving behind the world's third largest car manufacturing company. But there are some facts about Hyundai that you may not know. Hyundai's logo does not represent Hyundai's first letter H, but rather two people shaking hands, one representing the company and the other a satisfied customer. The Hyundai manufacturing plant in Ulsan is the world's largest plant, where 1.5 million vehicles can be produced annually, and Hyundai produces 6 million vehicles annually worldwide.